You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Pleasant good morning to you. Welcome to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow across the Civic Media Radio Network. I am not Pat Kreitlow. I'm Todd Allbaugh. Glad to have you along. Filling in the host chair, keeping it warm for Patrick. He'll be back on Monday, taking a well-deserved day off today to be with family for a graduation. So look forward to hearing about his travels on Monday. I'm along with producer and engineer Parker Olson here at the world headquarters of Civic Media in downtown Madison. Mr. Bach joins us as well from the Racine Park Studios down in beautiful Racine, Wisconsin. Gentlemen, how are you this morning?
We're doing well. Don't speak for me. You don't know how I'm doing. Wow. I'm doing well. Greg, how are you?
I'm also doing well. Thank you for asking.
Coming up a little bit later this hour, have our round table this morning with a couple of great journalists and talking about the headlines of the day. And in just a minute, Brittany Merlot will join us with a complete weather forecast. Temperatures around the state of Wisconsin right now range from 61 in Superior down to 55 degrees in Milwaukee, 54 over in La Crosse, 52 in Green Bay right now. More on the weather with Brittany Merlot. Weather quality air advisory out for today with those wildfires from Canada. So we'll have a little bit more on that in just a moment. Speaking of headlines this morning, the weather is the top headline. The Canadian provinces of Manitoba and Saskatchewan have declared states of emergency due to a series of wildfires. The blazes, which began on Monday in Saskatchewan, have rapidly increased in size, prompting the evacuation of more than 18,000 people. Israel has accepted a new ceasefire proposal with Hamas from U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff, which includes the release of 10 living hostages and 18 deceased hostages, as well as a 60-day truce. Although Hamas, in the latest framework, doesn't meet their demands entirely, the militant group offered some counterpoints and said they will continue on. A federal appeals court yesterday paused the Court of International Trade's ruling that President Donald Trump doesn't have the authority to impose sweeping tariffs using the emergency powers he declared earlier this year. The ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit means Trump can continue to impose tariffs using emergency powers and adds to the confusion and uncertainty about the future of his economic policy. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem posted on X this week that an undocumented migrant from Mexico had been arrested for allegedly sending a letter threatening to kill President Trump. However, upon further review, it appears that the immigrant, Ramon Morales Reyes, was set up. Federal officials who asked for a handwriting sample for Reyes also determined that his handwriting and the threatening letter did not match his own. Those are the headlines this morning. One more for you. A far-right political activist with a history of anti-gay rhetoric and promoting conspiracy theories about former President Barack Obama said he was sacked after only a month on the job following a CNN investigation. He was the Kennedy Center executive. So more on those stories throughout the day. But right now at 9 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock, taking a look, what should we do here? A couple of sports scores for you. How about that, by the way, as well? We talked about it a little bit in hour number 1, but the Pacers could have wrapped it up last night in Game 5, but they played their worst offensive game of the postseason last night and lost to the New York Knicks, 111-94. Our very own James Kelly up there in Eau Claire and Chippewa Falls dancing a jig because he's a New Yorker, a Long Islander. His Knicks survive. But despite missing the chance to close out the series, the star for the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, emphasized there was, quote, no need to panic. The Pacers still lead the series 3-2. Game 6 is on Saturday night in Indianapolis. The Brewers had the night off, but they will be taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be great if the Brewers played the 76ers?
I think that would go well.
It was the only way that would make basketball exciting to me.
Yeah.
No. They'll play the Philadelphia Phillies tonight. Game time, the first pitch around 5:45 tonight, Central Time. You can hear it across several of our stations on the Civic Media Radio Network. We're giving you a chance today on Free Friday Ticket Giveaway Big Shing Ding Lollapalooza, which is a statewide contest, by the way. The marketing people will love that. We're giving away 4 tickets to the Milwaukee Brewers throughout the day. They have 4 chances to win 4 tickets throughout the day. You can have your first chance during our show until 9 o'clock. Go to the Civic Media app, download it for free if you don't have it. Go to any of the first 11 stations, click on the word text, then you're all set to go, and text us right now the word crew. The word is crew, CREW, as in brew crew. This is
because spelling is crucial.
Oh, nicely done, Greg Bach. Yes, because the computer picks this randomly, and it only accepts exact correct entries. So,
Yeah.
And by the way, this is for the game next Saturday, June 7th, against San Diego at 6:35. You cannot exchange them for a different game. So please make sure you go to that game next Saturday against San Diego. The word is crew, CREW. Text it right now to the Civic Media app. I'm sorry, and these allergies. I mean, I just it's terrible. I'm sorry.
Yes. I'm sorry you're feeling poopy.
Poopy, yeah. That's one thing to call it, yeah.
Well, that too. That too. All right. Let's see here. Should we do today in history or national days? Because this is very, very exciting. We should bring on Brittany Rouleau for this, because I always like to talk to Brittany, our Civic Media meteorologist. Brittany, how the heck are you?
I'm pretty good. How the heck are you?
Better if it weren't for the allergies, but otherwise I'm doing fine.
Good.
We're gonna do weather here in a second, but I'm very excited about this because it's May 30th, and we've gone over some of the also Mel Blanc's birthday. Remember him?
Nope.
The great.
No, I do not.
Hey, Parker, do you know Bugs Bunny?
Elmer
Yes.
Fudd,
Oh my God! Wait.
Daffy Duck?
Porky Pig.
Okay.
Porky Pig?
But
He
I
did
do
all
know
of
them.
Yeah.
He did
Okay.
all of those.
All those voices,
Yeah.
all the Looney Tunes characters and Merry Melodies cartoons. He died back in 1989, but it was Mel Blanc was born on this day. Benny Goodman, the musician and band leader nicknamed the King of Swing, also was born on this day as well. But let's get to national days because there's some good ones here. It is National Creativity Day today. So if you're a creative person, this day is for you. I don't know. Crochet something? I don't know. Paint something?
Macrame.
Macrame? Sure. I don't know. Whatever.
We were talking about this yesterday at Matt and Aaron Air with decoupage.
Oh, decoupage. I like that. All right. So it's National Creative Day. Also, and now Parker's a recent UW Whitewater graduate in the comms program, broadcasting. It's Loomis Day. Do you remember who Loomis is, Parker?
Oh, I definitely shouldn't
To
I?
pass or fail. Do you remember? I recognize his Melholm Loomis as the person who received the patent for wireless telegraphy, receiving the U.S. patent number. Well, I'm not going to read the number. It was titled "An Improvement in Telegraphing on Wireless Telegraphy" in 1872. He beat Marconi's United Kingdom patent by nearly 25 years, but Marconi gets all the credits.
I didn't know either of those guys. They weren't at Whitewater.
We learned that at
Don't
Platteville.
I feel like then people are like, and Alexander Graham Bell stole from
Right.
Marconi, and
Right.
That's
and
true.
Brittany's like, can I just tell you about the
I
weather?
don't.
Yeah.
No, it's mint julep day today. I'm not a big mint julep guy, but have yourself a mint julep. But here's what I want to get to. This is fantastic. This is real. Each year on May 30th, it is National Hole in My Bucket Day. It is celebrated by a wacky holiday in honor of the fun children's song, "There's a Hole in My Bucket." I remember this watching Sesame Street. Who says PBS doesn't create great things? Here it is from Sesame Street.
Dear Liza, with what shall I fix it? Dear Liza, with what?
With a stick, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry.
with a stick, dear Henry, a stick.
You're having such a good time with this, Todd.
Do we have a Muppet that sounds like Johnny Cash?
There's like a 4-minute bit, and so it was the old farmer. He has a hole in the bucket, and the wife is sitting there, and the husband's a dope, and he's like, "There's a hole," and she's like, "Well, fix it, dear." "Well, what shall I fix it with? A stick, dear." And it keeps going and going, and finally she's like, "Just fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry, just fix it, dear Henry." They have a national hole in the bucket day today. It's National Hole. I'm very excited by this.
You are very excited about this.
More animated than I thought you'd be about it.
Absolutely. So there you go. All right. Brittany Merlot, we're going to need a bucket of something to get through this muck in the air today. Give us the lowdown. There is some seriousness to those that have asthma and whatnot. There is smoke in the air.
Yes, there is. That wildfire smoke from Canada has made its way down to the state. That's why it's hazy. It kind of looks cloudy in some places. It's not cloudy out. It is actually clear. So if you can't see the sunshine, that is the wildfire smoke this morning. It is really thick out there right now. It'll actually start to get a little bit better as we go through the afternoon, and then a little bit worse again tonight before it starts to clear out. It should be gone by tomorrow afternoon. But of course, it's from that northwest breeze. A little breezy throughout the day today, gusts around 20 to 25 miles per hour. And like Todd said, it is unhealthy for sensitive groups. So in that case, you might want to wear a mask, stay inside, have an air purifier running, something like that to help with those symptoms. But otherwise today, it's about 45 degrees in Janesville. It's 61 degrees into Ashland. And we are looking at scattered shower chances later on this afternoon. Very light showers. But then after 5 o'clock, we're looking at chances of some spotty storms. I think those are going to stay northwest, kind of hang into the Fox Valley, and then move in towards Milwaukee and Madison area. But these are a backdoor cold front. So what that means is the cold front's actually dropping down from the north, headed south. So these storms are going to be rolling in from the north, headed south, and we could see some gusty winds and small hail with them. But otherwise, tomorrow, hey, we're still looking at tons of sunshine today and tomorrow, both rising into the mid to upper 70s. We'll do the same, pretty much the same thing on Sunday, and then Monday, we're going to get it so muggy and warm. Our dew points are going to go into the 70s with temperatures in the mid 80s. Even some spots could hit 90. So Monday is going to be a sweaty one.
My grandma used to call that kind of weather sultry. It's sultry out.
Yes.
She used to say that. Yeah.
This weather's like Kathleen Turner in the 80s. It's sultry. Hello.
But
That's all I got.
the storms might help move some of this. That's not really smog, I know, but some of this smoke out of the air. Is that good for the smoke? Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely will. And then as that cold front moves through and down to the south, it should start to clear that out of here. So this is all good stuff for the smoke. Just the clear skies and nothing happening and the heat starting to build today is really making it much thicker. So once that front moves through, should be gone and out of here.
All right, Parker, I'm not going to be here on Monday. Pat will be back. But when you introduce, I want Brittany's music on Monday for her bumper music to be, "The heat is on. The heat is on."
Yeah.
Robin Tigerton, we have his weather report here. That was...
Sorry. Hold on.
All right.
There we go.
Here we go. Rob says, "Good morning from Tigerton. Cloudy and 56. I saw the red sun earlier this morning. I got a mowing job near Eldron, located on the Shawano and Marathon County line. A job that he was supposed to do yesterday got rained out. So there you go. All right, very good. I've been to Eldron and Tigerton when I go up to see the folks up in Shawano. So hope Rob can get the lawn mowed today. But wear a mask, Rob, and celebrate. It's a hole in the bucket day. All right, thank you, Brittany. Appreciate you. We'll see you later. Have a great weekend. Come on back with our round table and celebrate. There's a hole in my bucket day. We're back after this.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Welcome back to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. Pat has the day off. I'm Todd Allbaugh, sitting in the guest host chair. This morning's 22 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock on this Friday, May 30th, 2025. Hope your day is going well. Don't forget a air quality advisory for the entire state today as smoke from those Canadian wildfires is moving throughout Wisconsin. Brittany Merlot, our meteorologist, says it will clear out by tomorrow as we'll have some rain and some garden variety type of thunderstorms move through the state later on this afternoon into this evening. Right now, we're pleased to be joined by our weekly roundtable. James Santel has the week off, but joining us via StreamYard today, Jennifer Schulze, longtime Chicago journalist, including with ABC7 and WGN TV, now writing for The Contrarian and the Lincoln Square, and Mark Jacob, also a longtime journalist for both the Chicago Tribune and the Chicago Sun-Times. Thank you both for joining us and putting up with the fill-in guy while Pat's all away.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Glad to have both of you here as well. As always, it seems to be the endless fire hose of information. And I guess before I ask you guys each of your top headlines, your most intriguing headlines of the week, I'd just like your take on this. And maybe I'm doing a little therapy on the air for Todd. But I try to, when I travel around Wisconsin, we take the show on the road and just talking to people, I hear people, and these are people who are pretty plugged in, and they're saying, Todd, mental health, I got to turn the news off. I can't take this every day. And so what is the job of journalists in these times of trying to, there's a new headline that in normal times would be above the fold headline almost every hour. How do we balance that out with not overwhelming people, but making sure we get the proper information to folks? Jennifer?
Mark, do you want to take that? Did you say me?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Go, Jennifer.
You know what? Here's one of the things I've noticed is that journalism these days is really good.
Whoops.
I think we,
lost you there.
whatever happened, Jennifer, we can't hear you. Mark, let's go to you. We'll try to.
I'll pick that up.
Yep, go ahead.
So, I think that you're totally right that, every hour there's some new outrage and, you do have to disengage at some point. So the real problem to me is that some people never have engaged. And, I feel like a lot of the support for Trump, some of it is people who love the bad things he's doing. But I think a lot of other people are just kind of people who just don't follow the news. I mean, in fact, surveys have found it. They're not following the news at all. They just they heard something from a friend and, all their friends are voting for Trump. So they are, and they don't really understand what's happening. So, so there's that. But I mean, for the rest of us, people who are actually paying attention to what's going on, it can be mentally draining.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that. But so I think the answer is that the news media need to focus on what really affects people. I mean, and a lot of people, and this, just the crazy town stuff that he does all the time, like calling people scum on Memorial Day, that kind of stuff. I mean, you got to report it, but I wouldn't go big with that. I mean, he's dismantling large portions of the federal government. He is destroying universities. I mean, all this stuff he's doing, with foreign students, that is sending a chill through the entire higher ed community in the United States and chasing important researchers overseas. People are going to die because of what Trump is doing. I mean, the lifespan of Americans is going to go down because of what Trump is doing. So, I mean, look, just focusing on what's actually important might be a good idea.
I think that's a really great point. We talked about it on our show yesterday a little bit in the afternoon with Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, that, to your point, Mark, not only with the cuts basically eliminating USAID, just the folks in Africa alone who are going to die because of that, probably looking at millions of people potentially dying, but also here closer to home in Wisconsin if you ban or deeply cut foreign students from enrolling here, not only, in my opinion, as someone who was enriched by having a lot of students from other countries in college as friends, but there's a financial aspect that it's really costly to cut those foreign or out-of-state tuitions coming here, which they largely pay themselves. Jennifer, I'm not sure if your microphone is back, but let's try you. What do you say to that?
Well, here in Illinois, where Mark and I are, the University of Illinois has a enormous Chinese student population. It is one of the things I think that most experts would agree has helped keep the university afloat as legislative monies have dried up over the last 20, 30 years. And the University of Illinois, just like in Wisconsin, I'm sure with the University of Madison, will suffer enormously. And who will ultimately pay the price for all of that? All of us.
Right.
Not only if your kid wants to go to school there, will the tuition have to go up to make up for that shortfall, but we will all pay the price.
It's a brain drain, and if you're chasing smart, talented people out of your country, everyone's going to suffer.
And doesn't this get to kind of the challenge of folks, journalists and folks at media trying to point some of these things out? I feel like too often I hear basically, well, I don't know, it hasn't really affected me. But at some point, if you have a kid in college and your tuition goes up $1,000, $2,000 or more because there's no foreign tuition coming in anymore, that will affect you. And, I know people don't like this phrase, but it seems like people have messed around to clean it up for radio at the voting booth. And at some point, they're going to find out.
Yeah, and it's not just a money thing either, because, your kid is not going to get the latest cancer treatment because of this. I mean, there are a lot of things that affect people personally.
Right. And I think that's what's missing from some of the news coverage. What does it mean to you and your community?
Yes, totally agree. All right, we're coming up on a break here. We're going to look at a little agricultural news and weather as well. Then we'll come back with more with Mark Jacob and Jennifer Schulze on the other side. You're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. I'm Todd Allbaugh. You're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. I am Todd Allbaugh, filling in the guest host chair. Pat will be back on Monday. You're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network. It is now 35 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock. Temperature is in the 70s today. There is a poor air quality alert out for the entire state of Wisconsin due to the Canadian wildfires and the smoke coming down. But showers and thunderstorms throughout the later afternoon and into tonight will clear that out. Pretty nice weekend ahead. And then Brittany Merlot says muggy. Sultry starting on Monday. Summer is arriving right on time, as they say. Right now, we continue on with our weekly roundtable. James Santel, who is the host, of course, of Amicus, a law review on Saturday mornings here at Civic Media, has the week off, but we are very pleased to have with us today Chicago journalist Jennifer Schulze, formerly worked for ABC7 and WGN TV in Chicago, and now at the Contrarian and Lincoln Square, and Mark Jacob, longtime journalist for both the Chicago Tribune and Chicago Sun-Times. Guys, let's go to your favorite. Barbara Walters, remember, she never said the most important person of the year. She always said the most fascinating person of the year. So what's your most fascinating headline of the week, Mark Jacob?
I would say it's RFK Jr. and Trump releasing that study on children's health, which made a lot of false assertions and surprise, included fake studies. They're linked to studies that were never written, had real scientists attributed to stuff, and when the news media contacted them, they said, "No, I didn't do anything like that." And then Caroline Leavitt, the official liar in the White House, that's her job to lie. She was asked about it, and she said, "Well, there were formatting issues, but everything's fine otherwise." So now lies are now called formatting issues. And it just as far as critiquing the media on that story, the Associated Press headline just said there were problems with the studies. They use the word problems, fuzzing the whole issue instead of using the perfectly accurate term fake studies, because there were fake studies.
And also Wisconsin's very own Mark Pocan in Congress in a hearing. Maybe you guys talked about this last week, but got RFK Jr. to say, "Well, you really shouldn't listen to me when it comes to medical
Yeah,
advice."
right,
I
right.
mean, really?
The guy's head of HHS. He's the top health official in the entire country, and he says, "Don't take advice from me." This is crazy town, Todd. This is insanity, and it's insanity about public health. It's not about some stupid subject. It's about public health.
Yeah, Jennifer.
You know, Donald Trump was sitting right next to RFK Jr. when they released that report, and they together said it was the most important health study on children in America in history. So both Trump and RFK Jr. have staked their very feeble, I would argue, reputations on this, and they're sticking with that story even today. The Washington Post has a story this morning that says they've been able to determine that most of the study was written with AI. Um, and I mean, just that, and the way that the Trump administration is pushing AI um, ought to be worrisome to all of us. But Mark's right. That story was also, I thought, really interesting in that it came from a smaller news outlet with younger reporters, something called Notice, Notus. They broke this story, which is really based on shoe leather reporting. You know, here's this report. It's got all these citations and all these quotes, and it's the greatest thing ever on kids' health. Two reporters, I can't find anybody else that did this, decided, where's that stuff come from? And it's incredible because that's what journalism is supposed to be about. Not just being megaphones for whatever Trump or RFK say, but digging into the details. And what we found out, as Mark said, it's all fake. All of it is fake.
Absolutely incredible. And Mark, to your earlier point in the last segment about the cuts that Trump is making and continues to try to make through this budget reconciliation bill, people's lives are going to be lost. And to this point with RFK Jr., what is this thing now with COVID vaccines only for those 65 years of older, not for pregnant women? Again, I think one of the most tragic parts out of a lot of tragedies is we're messing with people's lives here.
Right. That's a troublesome new decision by the federal government to not give the COVID shot to pregnant women, because that's the only way there's going to be any protection for newborn babies. And the fact is that the two groups that are most likely to be hospitalized when they get COVID are old people and newborn babies. They're too young to get the shot when they get born, but giving it to pregnant women could offer some protection, it's believed. So I mean, there's just not a lot of science about it, Todd. And when they released the study, Eric K. Jr. said, well, this is the worst. This generation is the sickest generation of children in American history. And I went back and looked at it. In 1800, 46% of children didn't make it to age 5. In 1900, 24% didn't make it to age 5. You know what the figure is now? It's under 1%. So what is he talking about? I mean, it's just pulling stuff out of their regions. It's very weird what they're doing, and they just think that it sounds good. And the New York Times repeated that, the sickest generation in U.S. history. And I called them out on social media, and they actually changed their headline. The New York Times did, and took that out because it was a lie.
Nicely done, Mark. Nicely done. I was remiss earlier. You can also find Mark. He is the author of Stop the Press's newsletter, so check that out as well. Jennifer, what is your most intriguing, fascinating headline of the week?
Well, I agree with Mark that the stuff about the health report is really staggering. I'm also struck this week by the Elon Musk exit interviews. This guy, the New York Times has a great story this morning about his drug use throughout his time in the White House. And it's pretty extreme, illegal drug use. He was handed the keys to our government and has done untold amount of damage. And too many news organizations in the last week fell for his rewriting of history or his glossing over of his the damage that he's done. And we have all these puff pieces about disillusioned, determined, and, painting this picture of this, well, I tried my best and, gosh, maybe it didn't work out with really, it was like a PR tour that Musk took, and the press fell for it with the evidence in front of all of our eyes every single day for the last 4 or 5 months. I'm still gobsmacked about that. I can't get over it.
I know there's I think it's coming out this Sunday if I'm correct. David Pogue interviewed Musk for CBS Sunday Morning, and I saw the clip where Musk says, "Well, you can have a big bill or a beautiful bill, but you can't have a big beautiful bill," and seemed to kind of counter Trump a little bit in saying he wasn't really on board for this reconciliation bill.
Yeah, well, he's pointing to the deficit, which the funny thing is you got all this blowback from the White House after he said that, in which they said there is no deficit in the bill, which is a complete 100% lie.
Yeah.
I've actually started my most recent Stop the Press newsletter. I've decided to start calling blatant lies Lutniks, because Howard Lutnick is really the most outrageous liar in the cabinet.
I
So,
like that.
so Caroline Leavitt was telling Lutniks yesterday, and Mike Johnson was too. They were telling a Lutnick about the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office,
Yeah.
whose projections are usually quite reliable. And they're saying, "Oh no, they're totally out there. It's some sort of leftist organization, supposedly," even though the guy who's head of it was named by Bush. So they don't want to accept reality, and they voted. So they're voting for deficit spending. This whole thing
Right.
about the Republicans don't like to tax and spend. Well, they sure like the spend part of it.
And Jennifer, even Wisconsin's own U.S. Senator Ron Johnson is calling Trump out exactly what Mark just said, maybe for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. But he's not. He's saying it doesn't go far enough in some of these cuts, but saying that it does increase the deficit.
Well, yes, and so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with this bill when it makes it over to the Senate. They've already been making, and Johnson's not alone. They've been making a lot of noise about their concerns. So we'll see how concerned they really are. I want to add one more thing about Musk and Trump. The White House just announced that Musk and Trump are having a joint press conference this afternoon.
Oh, really? Oh.
So that will be very interesting to see. I'm actually less interested in what they say, but how reporters question them, and with follow-up questions, and what kind of fact checking we'll have, because the two of them together, there won't be a truthful word that comes out of their mouths. And the press really knows how to get to the bottom of things. Let's see if they do that.
Maybe we'll have another edition of Hee Haw's Junior Samples. Come on down by a new used Tesla here on the car lot of the White House. Well, BR549. Anyway, it's an old reference for those of us old enough to remember Hee Haw. It's 45 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock. We're talking with Jennifer Schulze and also Mark Jacob on our weekly roundtable here. Pat Kreitlow is back on Monday. Guys, I wanted to get your take as people have worked in major markets in Chicago, long-time journalists. I'm just fascinated by this. My first station I worked at was a CBS affiliate, radio affiliate in Richland Center. I grew up, my parents watched Walter Cronkite and those things. The fact that CBS this morning on Tuesday didn't cover anything of the craziness that Trump said over the weekend, the disrespect he showed veterans by not really memorializing them at all, partisanizing the speech at Arlington National Cemetery. What do you make of this, Mark, then Jennifer?
Well, I'm not sure. It's difficult to decide, whether the editorial decisions are affected by the greater picture and corporate pressure. So, unless you can prove it up, it's just hard to speculate about it. But it must be said that CBS is under incredible pressure these days. They, because their parent company Paramount wants to cut a deal for a merger with Skydance, and the Trump administration corruptly is holding that up until CBS supposedly is going to settle this lawsuit, this bogus lawsuit he's brought, complaining that an interview of Kamala Harris somehow damaged his brand. And it's a lawsuit that should be thrown out of court immediately. Definitely, there's no way he would win in a real, trial. Right. But CBS thinks is being extorted. In effect, they're being told, you've got to settle this. And Trump wants an apology for them doing good journalism.
And Jennifer, ABC Disney already settled.
I know. Yeah, corporate ownership of big media products is a problem. And CBS, I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where they don't pay him a bribe. And I think that it's most certainly had a chilling effect on the reporting throughout the company. We already know that 60 Minutes had minders, you know, brought in to make sure that their content wasn't, tiptoeing too close to somebody's line, apparently Trump's. I don't doubt that throughout their other products, that they're being cautious, probably overly cautious about some things.
We're out of time. We can't talk about it. But did you guys see the Scott Pelley graduation speech at Wake Forest this
Yes.
weekend?
It was great.
If people haven't,
Excellent.
check it out. Google Scott Pelley Wake Forest. I'd never seen him like that. I thought it was incredible. Really, really brave. Brave as well is Mark Jacob. You can find him. He is the author at Stop the Presses newsletter. And also equally brave is Jennifer Schulze. You can find her work at The Contrarian and Lincoln Square, amongst others. We appreciate you both so very much. Pat will be back next week, so you don't have to put up with me. But thanks for being here. We appreciate you both.
Thank you, Todd.
All right.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back on the other side. You're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. I'm Todd Allbaugh across the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Now is the time on Sprockets where we dance. Very clubby. Wow. I like it. Welcome back to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. Clearly, I am not Pat Kreitlow. I'm Todd Allbaugh, filling in for Patrick, who will be back on Monday. You're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network. Many thanks to the great Jennifer Schulze and as well Mark Jacob for being here and being along with us on our round table. Always great to have real, actual journalists have their take on things. Parker is a new grad of journalism and comms. Did they discuss this stuff now in classes about conflicts of corporate journalism having an effect on what stories get done, that sort of thing?
A little bit, yeah. I'm actually watching a show right now. It's called Newsroom.
Yes.
Great show.
Sorkin's final show so far, but
So
it's
far.
a Sorkin gem.
Perhaps we'll have a return. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm watching that show right now, and it's really interesting about like what's going on behind the scenes and why aren't you doing stuff or why are you doing stuff.
Yeah, this is really, really good. But I always appreciate Mark and Jennifer being here, and they'll be joining Pat next week again, along with James Santel. So look forward to that in nervous anticipation. It's 53 minutes now past the hour of 7 o'clock on this Friday, May 30th, 2025. Temperatures across the state range from 61 in beautiful Superior down to 55 in Milwaukee. It is 54 over in Eau Claire, 54 as well in Wausau, 52 in Green Bay, 54 here in the capital city of Madison, and 48 degrees. A little chilly in the old southwest Wisconsin Valley. I grew up in Richland Center, a little town just south of that, Lone Rock, Wisconsin, a little village of Lone Rock. For many years would be the coldest spot in America during the winter because it's like in a valley. And so there's a billboard as you come in now. It's been there for years. I'm not sure if the global warming is true anymore, but it says Lone Rock, Wisconsin, the coldest in the nation with the warmest of heart.
Oh,
There it is. Okay, because you're like, welcome to the coldness of Lone Rock.
No. There is a air quality advisory throughout the entire state of Wisconsin today. No, that's not smog or fog. It is smoke coming down from Canada. The problem with these Canadian wildfires, and this is why we don't have wildfires in northern Wisconsin, is because there's no Canadian version of Smokey Bear.
Oh, I thought it was because they weren't a 51st state.
Well, there's that too, right? Oh, good heavens.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Oh, it brings the horn. He brings in the horn.
I was thinking you were going to do a rim shot.
And
yeah.
the rim shot. Oh, that's fantastic. By the way, we're smack dab in the middle of our big Friday Ticket Friday Brewers Lollapalooza giveaway. Text to win. All you have to do is download the Civic Media app. You open the app, and by the way, It is a statewide contest.
Ooh.
I'm required to say that or I get shocked in my chair. Sometimes I don't say it just because I can get shocked in my chair. Anyway, we're giving away 4 tickets. Giving away 4 tickets to a Brewers game. This is for June 7th. It is a week from Saturday. It'll, I was going to say tip off. No, the first pitch is at 6:35 next Saturday, the 7th of June, against your San Diego Padres. The Brewers taking them on. So that's what these tickets are for. You have to be able to go to that game. 4 beautiful tickets in the club level section of Miller. Now, see, you got me to say
Aha! I gotcha.
AmFam Field. They're great seats. And get this, our own Luke Mathers, who is the keeper of the tickets in his, it's the synthetic mink oil. He uses synthetic mink oil to take care of his leather satchel.
Okay.
He tells me this is real. There is a Jackson Churio replica jersey night. So the first whatever fans, like usually it's like 20,000 fans that go into the game, get a free Jackson Churio jersey.
That's pretty big.
How about that?
Pro tip, though, to all the fans who are going out there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this right now. Whatever your size is, get 1, if not 2 sizes up, because those replica jerseys run toit.
Toy. I haven't heard that word in a long time. Toy.
I went when they did the replica Yount jersey, and I picked one up, and I went in the bathroom, and I walked back. I'm like, I need to exchange this.
So here's how you are eligible during our show today until 9 o'clock. Go to the Civic Media app. The first 11 stations are the ones that we're on. Click on the little icon that says text and text the word crew, CREW, right now on the Civic Media app. Crew. The word is crew this hour. CREW as in brew crew. After the end of the day, the computer will randomly choose correct entries. You have to spell it right. You're not eligible. And one lucky person will be going to that game next Saturday, June 7th at 6:35. Crew, CREW. Jane and Greg will have another word coming up on Matt and Air on Air from 9 to 11. Tom Hartman, who will receive his word via carrier pigeon, will have a word on his show as well between 11 and 2. We will have our word given to us by one of our pool boys here at the Civic Media headquarters. Looking forward to that. He handed me.
Is your pool boy Jacques or Steve?
It depends on which. Well, we can't get an international pool boy anymore because of the Trump thing. So it's only domesticated pool boys. Yeah, exactly. And then Maggie Dawn will have a word on her show as well between 4 and 6. So be listening the entire day to Civic Media. You can enter in each one of the shows, and then one lucky person will win a ticket. Crew, CREW, is our word this hour. Coming up next hour, the wonderful, the talented, the always, she's a person that makes you feel better just for being around her. The wonderful Dr. Kristen Lyerly will be joining us, talking a little bit about men's health. Happen to be a male, and I'm kind of healthy. We'll talk about why guys should not be stubborn. We should just admit that we need a little care now and again. Nothing wrong with that, and very, very important. And also talk about a new bill making its way through the Wisconsin State Legislature on mammograms for women, how those could get either free or less costly. Very, very important information. So stick around. You're listening to Mornings with Pat Crichton. I talk for a living. Crichton with Todd Allbaugh, the Civic Media Radio Network.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.